see them.
All right. Now, theoretically, we're live. I think we'll wait just a second to get people caught up, but maybe not go as long as I did last time. With all the fun pre-conversations that I had with Deanne that we couldn't see her, but everyone got to hear it.
So are you able to get comments from people while we're doing this?
Yes. And
can you read that? Yes.
Yeah, if I deem them worthy, I will pass them on to you.
Actually, I can watch it on my phone.
Oh, it's a shame because I feel like with Zoom you can see everyone's face.
Right.
But we can't. We just have to imagine.
We
see some of the familiar faces.
Right. We're still open to what our future platform will be. So
this is a great start. This is a great start.
Look.
Oh,
see?
wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Look at that.
Already recording.
Well, is this going to break the internet, do you think?
Possibly.
Is that going to break the internet? That's the question.
Hey, hi, Karen. You saw the comment before I did. So I think all the comments show up live, and only the ones that Carrie chooses to go onto the screen actually stay. But well, we will wait a slight bit more. I gotta say, I like the choice of background you guys have there.
I know.
That map behind you is very cool.
Finally got our Cacao Origins wall going.
Nice. So you're gonna put pins everywhere you get your origin?
Yeah, so we put little dots.
So you have the one dot up there in Utah. That's the mid-mountain beans, right?
That's right. We dig them out of the ground.
You're a wild foraged Park City local cacao.
That's right.
Good.
If only.
That would definitely be something.
I know.
Well, shall we get started? You guys look ready.
That's weird of me. Oh, I see.
So this is the comments.
Hi, Emily.
Robbie's comments up. Hi, Emily. I can't see the comment, but
she said hi.
Hi.
All right. Well, welcome to Chocolate Fascination, the YouTube channel all about fine chocolate. This is the companion to the podcast, Chocolate Fascination, all about fine chocolate. Thanks for tuning in. So before we get started, quick little plug. For anyone that's new, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. It really helps our channel grow so we can talk to more chocolate lovers and chocolate makers and chocolate, just all the chocolate. Tonight, we've got our special guests, Anna Davis and Robbie Stout of Ritual Chocolate up in beautiful Park City. Unfortunately, we had them move inside from outside because it was a glorious day out there, but better sound than we can see you better while you're inside. So my apologies to take you in from a lovely day.
No worries.
Thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, would you guys like to introduce yourselves, and then let's talk about who is Ritual Chocolate?
Sure. You first.
Well, ladies first.
Anna Davis. Yeah.
Robbie Stout.
Mm-hmm.
And we founded Ritual Chocolate 2010.
If you can believe it.
That's
Actually,
right.
we'll have our 10-year this September.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so Chocolate Society started in April of 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. You guys beat us to the...
Yeah. We've been doing chocolate for a long, long time. It's great.
Well,
That's awesome.
it was February 2009 when we had that idea.
Ah.
And then it wasn't until January 10th, 2010 until we made our first batch of chocolate.
Right.
Okay. Like a test batch?
Like a 5-pound batch.
And it was really, really bad.
Oh, good.
The worst batch
I
of
understand.
It was astringent.
It's horrible.
We got these beans from Haiti, and we were so excited, and they were like moldy and horrible. But we were so excited. It didn't even matter.
I'm sure you roasted them beautifully.
Oh, yeah. They were
Yeah, I mean, we had no idea how to roast. I added powdered sugar because I thought it would make it smoother. But what I didn't realize is that it has like some other
cornstarch or something, right?
in there, so it made it really thick.
So then I was like, oh, I'm going to go run and get some cocoa butter. So I ran and I bought cocoa butter from like the body section of the grocery store. Like,
Okay.
So it was called our Franken batch.
It was like
we were just like
it was a lip
adding
balm
stuff.
that was pure cocoa butter.
Yeah.
100%.
Who knows
Really?
if it was food grade?
It had to
I
be
guess
food
it
grade.
was, but anyway.
Right, lips.
Right. I mean,
Right.
lip grade, you'd figure is at least on par with food grade, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's got to be.
mean, my Burt's Bees, I eat it all the time, so
All right,
probably
tasty.
fine. Yeah. Get minty breath.
All right, that was the first batch. And that was actually like 3 or 4 days before the Haiti earthquake.
Oh, really?
We had these Haiti cocoa beans, which is a total freak coincidence.
Yeah.
And we like tried to sell them for charity, but no one would buy them because they were made like in our house.
And they were so horrible.
You know,
But the thought was there.
Yeah, your heart was in the right place. That counts for something. We've got several people. Hi, Renee. In fact, so we were talking before the stream about organizing a little Utah Chocolate Society origin trip. Renee was the first person in Chocolate Society to tell me, please, let's go visit a country of origin, like 8-9 years ago, because Renee joined us, I think, late 2010. So he's a long timer. He just lives out of state now. So we've got a question. Where is your shop in Park City?
All right, it's on Iron Horse Drive, kind of between Bonanza and Park Ave, just south of Main Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's north of Main Street.
Sorry.
It's downhill.
Sorry, it's downhill from.
It's
I'm really
elevationally south. Good.
South downhill.
It's true.
I feel like we're talking about ends here. Yeah, if you're coming in to Park City from Kimball Junction, it's kind of right as you're getting into like proper Park City-ish. Okay. Let's talk more about little test batches. I'm curious the evolution from little 5-pound test batch to a beautiful cafe, multiple employees. Now, I mean, you guys have grown so remarkably, starting with this 5-pound batch of Haiti that you say tasted disgusting. What were some of like the early intermediate steps that led you on your journey? What did you change first?
Pivotal moments would be that first batch. Well, yeah, first batch, getting like a grinder, building a roaster out of a chicken rotisserie oven, and just having some equipment to do something.
Right.
And then second thing would be Costa Rica, probably.
Right. I mean, we were literally making chocolate out of our 350 square foot apartment for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
We were like falling asleep to the little Santha grinder. But you know, we loved it, and it was just such a fun time. And we modified like a chicken rotisserie oven. We had like PVC pipes that we put together like a winnowing system. So it was just so much fun in the beginning. I'm sure a lot of you guys have played around with it as well. But really, I would say the pivotal moment was when we finally connected with Steve DeVries, who some of you might know, who's a chocolate maker enthusiast, but he asked if we wanted to rent his factory in Denver, which is still like it's quite in the grand scheme, you know, it's kind of a small factory, but for us it was a giant leap. And he had really interesting equipment. He had a lab-sized longitudinal conch. He had a really small roll mill, and so we could really kind of learn more about the process and get more in depth. And so that was really the big jump.
And that conch was a 90-pound conch.
Okay.
I think we started at 80 pounds, each batch.
Yeah.
And then we bumped it up to 90 because we realized there was some space.
Yeah.
But I think the difficult thing about that time, too, is the fact that, like, here we had to make these big batches, which were big for a very small company with no customers.
Right.
It's like a lot of inventory, and also the way we were making it was really labor intensive. So we had this little it was like this big, one of those Victoria mills, and we would just sit in front of that thing for like 4 hours, just watching like nibs go through really slowly. And then the roll mill wasn't working properly, so we took twice as long. So we'd spend all week roll milling 8 hours a day just to fill our little 80-pound, conch.
Yeah.
And that would run all week or weekend. And so just to make a batch was just like this, huge effort.
It was. We should write a book called How Not to Make Chocolate. We got so much to give on that.
I could contribute a little bit to that.
Yeah.
Like a little section on how not to bother roasting and grinding beans that smell terrible because something is very wrong. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Trust your taste buds, trust your nose.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just so much experimentation, which is fun. And, you know, I really feel like the first 4 years, I mean, obviously we were focused on like building sales and things, but we were really just like product testing, trying to hone, you know, what we felt was our process and our style. And so we just really kind of immersed ourselves and enjoyed that. And it wasn't really till later we were like, oh, we should work on our packaging and we should probably try and sell this stuff, you know. We just really wanted, I don't know why, we were just really set out to make, you know, great quality chocolate. And yeah.
How do you feel about the part of chocolate making, well, the business side, I guess, that isn't actually making chocolate? Would you rather that like it just handled itself and you could just make chocolate, or does that part interest you as well?
We probably have different sides of it.
You answer that, I'll answer.
Okay. This is probably going to sound a bit boring, but I think I know for me, like along the way, I love being in business and learning about business and developing it. I think it's so difficult, and sometimes I feel a bit guilty because I'm like, I need to reconnect with the chocolate because, you know, I'm here in front of the computer, we're thinking about like connecting with customers and brand, but like I really enjoy that, and I think I kind of geek out on the business side a bit. So I don't know, I have as much of a love for the business as I do for the chocolate, actually.
That's handy. Robbie, you looked a little bit more conflicted.
I just wish I had more time in general.
That would be handy.
I was just like, I wish I could spend more time in the factory, just shutting my mind off a bit and going through the motions and getting into that workflow of like getting stuff made. Like it's intense. I mean, it's exhausting, and you have to stay focused all day because you're like doing everything. You're roasting, you're winnowing, you're pre-grinding, we're roll milling, and I might even be like managing the tempering machine at the same time. I haven't done this in a long time, but that kind of workflow, I kind of missed that intensity of just like kind of being in the moment, being there, like working 6 machines at the same time, just like having this kind of like daily marathon, and then at the end cleaning up, and at the end of the day you're just like completely exhausted. And part of that was kind of nice because you don't have the stress of business.
Right.
Like, sure, you have the stress of production, and you're trying to get stuff out, and things break, but you don't have like that, like nonstop, you know, email, like 100 emails over the weekend, and you know, all people tapping your shoulder, like telling you, "Hey, did you do this thing yet?" No, I mean, but then again, like the business side of it is really fun. Like, I love sales, I love marketing, I love spreadsheets, I love all that stuff. But the problem is like when you don't have the time to devote your energy to all of these things, you just kind of like dip your toes in a little bit in each little thing and feel like you can't quite get it all done. It's just kind of managing your time and trying to get better about hiring, trying to get better about delegating, and having the money to even do that, which just takes 10 years to finally hire a marketing person and hire someone to help within the office. And, so it's just kind of like a slow...
So you can offload your work so you can play in spreadsheets all day?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, spreadsheets.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a question. Do you have any ideas or recipes for a cold frozen chocolate drink for summer months?
Oh, it's so funny because I was just looking at this. So we're actually working on a cafe expansion.
Okay.
Here.
Right.
So we're moving our manufacturing down to the Heber, Charleston area, which is going to happen in August, yes. Yeah. And then we're going to be expanding the cafe here. So we're still going to be like, we're not going to be like restaurant level, but we're going to be able to do a little bit more. So I think with that, on the drink side, I was looking at a bunch of different sort of fun recipes. I really want to bring in some cacao juice and do something like that. So like a smoothie.
From the pulp?
Like frozen, like a Slurpee,
Okay,
juice version of a Slurpee.
That actually sounds amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, little iced cacao pulp drink. I'd drink that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
We do. I mean, right now we make our iced drinking chocolate in house. It's basically what you do is you make like your kind of like ganache base essentially. So your mid-mountain blend chocolate and like basically boiling water and get that like blended really well.
Okay.
And then we dilute that. Or actually, add a little bit of extra sugar and then dilute it with almond milk.
Okay.
And we have like a gallon of like this pre-made iced vegan chocolate drink that we keep in the fridge, and it's amazing.
It's really simple.
It's so good.
It felt. Anna gave me and Carrie both a cup when we came up last week, and by the time we got to the pass, up to Summit Pass, Parley's Pass, the pass, I was feeling it. I was all, it felt like I was mainlining chocolate there. It was good.
It's good.
But it's great. I mean, that will last. If you make the base, it'll last a few days.
Okay.
But we get through it so fast in the summer. Like we're getting through.
And then you just pour that over ice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pour it over ice.
Okay.
And people order it with espresso, so you can like put espresso in there, ice, and then it's basically like an iced vegan mocha thing.
You can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Yeah, and we're using almond milk, and we should probably switch to. We should try at least Oatly or oat milk. That'd be really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, the
next thing we need to figure out is how do we put a chocolatey drink on tap? Like
on nitro.
On nitro tap, because we do nitro coffee.
Okay.
So how do you do like a chocolatey thing on nitro?
So it's like got that lovely sort of smooth, foamy.
Like a chocolate soda?
Maybe we have to just like boil nibs until we get like a nice extract, and then refrigerate it and nitrogenate it, and then.
I mean, that's kind of what Mass Brothers were doing. They had like a nitro chocolate beer. I mean, it wasn't beer; it was just like a nib, soaked nib thing. But I think, to have it with the chocolate, so it's like a cream drink.
Emily is saying that Woodblock has a cacao pulp soda.
Ooh, see, it all comes back to cacao pulp.
Yeah. But I like the idea of the pulp, and separately, I don't know how well they'd go together, like a chocolate, maybe like a nitrogenated. Is that the word? Is that how you say this? Nitrogenated?
That's it. That's
okay. Well, it's as right as we're gonna. Well, as I'm gonna get tonight, but yeah. Well, let's see. Let's talk about how are things going for you in the middle of all this craziness. Especially, I mean, the thing that's been hitting us for a long time is all the coronavirus lockdown business. How has Ritual been doing with all that?
I think it's funny. We're actually in a really good place right now.
Awesome.
I think when it first started, it was so much of the stress was just the unknown of, most of 60% of our sales are wholesale to different customers across the country.
Right.
And so many of them shut.
It was like our wholesale vanished.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just, because we work with coffee shops and things, so we were just like, oh my gosh. And, people, I think, were just staying home and just buying essentials and
all the toilet paper.
I know, all the toilet paper. And then we closed both our cafes, and we were like, okay, that's it. Like
the cafes were like 35% of our business, and then all of a sudden, like 90% of our business was gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really overnight.
And we just thought, is this going to be a week? Is this going to be, and then we got the stay-at-home order, which was set for a month. And we tried curbside at the cafe, but we weren't really breaking even, because I think people weren't coming out, the weather was bad, and we were just like, oh. But the amazing thing is that all of a sudden our online sales were just shot up. and it was like every day we were like, oh my God, we just got a huge amount of sales yesterday. what's tomorrow going to look like? And then it
Right.
kept going, and it just consistently kept going. So I don't know if it's people are just going to switch their behavior and order
Right.
online more now, but we're like, if this keeps going and we just go back to normal, like it's amazing. So margins good with online, but it was just so
everyone.
yeah, I know, really, honestly, because it was so heartwarming because we just felt like so many people came out to support us and just, it felt like, yeah, of course people want chocolate, but they were also just like really wanted to help us as small business. It was just like really.
So we hit like a week and a half ago, we hit our 2019 online sales numbers for the whole year. We hit that like 2 weeks ago for this year. Yeah, so we're already
bonkers.
And that's at retail pricing, not wholesale pricing, which has a big benefit as it is.
Yeah.
And we were doing a lot of discounting to be like, hey, like 20% off if you give, like, you buy something, please.
Please buy something.
Another thing that happened, which was really cool, is that Whole Foods actually stepped in and they were like,
oh yeah,
they were like, hey, like, we know you guys are probably like dying right now, which was true. And so they're like, well, we're going to take on more of your products and more of our line, actually. And we're going to like really boost you guys in all of the Rocky Mountain region stores. And so now the whole Rocky Mountain region now should carry maybe like 7 or 9 of our varieties.
Well, I think they just took on, I don't know if, they took on our new mountain line.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it was amazing.
I mean, it was like, they were like, hey, we just want to make sure you're like surviving. So we'll also do like a promotion and put you on sale and what you'll get full margin. And I mean, that was really cool. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure there's some marketing behind that for them. But at the same time, it was like also really amazing to be like, here's this huge company that wants to help.
Just came in and
Amazon.
They were really the only company. I mean, maybe they're the only ones that were able to, but it was.
Well, they were. I mean, at the time, it was only grocery stores that were open.
Right.
So they were the only ones who could actually help. Anyway, complicated times, but we've permanently closed our Whole Foods location. It's closed forever.
Oh,
it's gone.
That's too bad.
We just reopened here maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we're doing good. People are like sitting outside, and we were doing a lot of sanitizing, but it's going really well. And I think it just made us look at our whole company and be like, where do we need to just be leaner, be better about expenses? Because it's just really easy to not even realize you're overspending in areas. So I think we're going to come out of this stronger because we're going to be a bit smarter about things. So so it's good. So it's good. And I really hope that other chocolate makers are doing okay as well. So
it's not an easy time. I mean, Amazon's doing great, right? But so many small businesses are just having a rough go. So I'm super glad to hear you guys are coming out strong with this and that people are pulling through for you.
It was ugly for a while.
I bet.
There was a few weeks there where I was like, I don't know if in a month or two we're going to have a business, if I'm going to have a house, if like, it's like, am I going to have another job in 3 months? You know what I mean? Like,
and then all the loans, it's like, oh, you can apply for this loan and get all this money, but you need to do it tomorrow at 8 a.m. and then you'll be running out of funds. And so you're just like, we did that like for 4 different loans. We have some, but then you don't know, like.
That's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was just a lot. So.
No bueno. Well, I'm kind of curious, in the chocolate making world, how much like, do you ever have zany moments where you're like, cue the Benny Hill music? I know you've had some occasions of like possibly a sort of a hole or plug not being in place in a conch. Like what kinds of wacky mishaps happen in the world of making ritual chocolate that you care to share?
Where do we begin? I think if you go back in time, once when the conch was running in Denver.
Remember the first batch?
Was it the first batch?
The first conch batch we ever did with Steve's conch.
It's a longitudinal conch?
Yeah.
The power cut out in the middle of the night.
Oh, no.
And the water heater died.
Yeah, the water heater died.
Yeah, the water heater died.
But the conch kept running.
Okay.
It used to be heated by this water heater.
Oh, really?
Somehow the power took.
So unlike a cocoa town, which generates all of its own heat, like an old school conch needs external heat.
Oh, okay.
This thing kept running without the heat for at least 2 days.
Yeah.
And the chocolate got really thick. Maybe it was overnight.
Yeah,
I don't know. Either way, it started working really hard, and it ended up like grinding all the gears into metal dust.
Oh.
And like filled the factory with metal dust.
Yeah, and we were so excited. It was our first batch.
Oh no.
I'm in the next morning, and it was like metal shards everywhere. And we were like,
no.
Oh my God.
We like ruined the conch. I mean, it was already on its way out, like for other reasons.
It was okay. So.
No, it was already janky. No.
Apparently, it had a faulty water heater.
Yeah.
So either way, we then had to like throw away this huge batch of chocolate that cost us the money that we had, and like
brutal.
Cleaned for days, and anyway, that was one story. Another story was Denver flooded in 2011 or 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we had water like coming into the factory. Like we had like we had water in the factory.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, like the way the roof was shaped, it was like flooding in through the door. So I was trying to like funnel the water into like trash cans and then bail those out. And I was barefoot, running around the factory.
Not up to code.
Panicking.
Right.
Even our car, that was like when Boulder flooded. And,
that huge flood in Colorado.
Our little
I don't think of that side of the mountains as being a floodplain danger zone.
100-year flood, man.
You got to get it every 100 years.
The Honda got like waterlogged and wouldn't start, like it died.
What?
It was gnarly. What else? I think it was at that time we had a delivery we had to make too. So I like biked it to Boulder.
Yeah.
It's like a million miles.
But I think our biggest mishap in the current factory is so our full pot conch. The way you empty it out, there's these little sort of doors that you open and plug in, and someone just hadn't sealed it properly. So overnight, it just 250 pounds of chocolate just all spilled out on the floor. It was just that was our biggest loss.
Because each of your bars weighs how much?
60 grams.
Yeah.
60 grams. So a little over 2 ounces.
It's like thousands of bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
many.
We've actually had worse. No, we had early on. We had a big pallet of beans show up moldy that we had to throw away.
Ooh.
And then not that long ago, maybe it's 3 years ago, I'm not going to say who it came from, but we got a ton of beans, an actual full ton, and none of the beans were usable.
Oh, man.
We had to pitch all of those, too.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I've made chocolate with those beans when they're not usable, and I shouldn't have. It was so bad.
It's just bad for everyone because you don't want to break it to the farm, because there's oftentimes just the problem with shipping. It just gets moldy and shipping, and then
or somewhere in like the co-op level when they're doing the drying or something, right?
Right.
Have you been hearing how your bean sources are doing with all the lockdown stuff?
Seem okay. We haven't had
they're pretty
anyone
spread out generally, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like bean buying from businesses like us, bean to bar, is going to be down. So even if supply is down a little bit, I think it'll equalize a bit. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, shall we get tasting?
Yeah. So let's transition into tasting.
Yes.
By talking about disasters.
Oh, great.
About what? Disasters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was going to talk about this bar.
Oh.
The Ecuador.
Oh. Do we want to do that one?
We don't. Whatever order you want to do.
Sorry,
we're going to do we were talking about doing the Trinidad first.
Okay.
So
sorry.
This one.
It's good.
Isn't that beautiful? This one, I reached out to VJ Jagasar, I believe, is the guy that runs the farm. Sounds like a small family operation there in Trinidad, but
it's like a family farm. That's it. Like one little plot of land.
What's their deal? Like, how'd you guys find them, and what led to the creation of this bar?
Last year, so that was our first time putting out this limited edition bar, and it was kind of perfect timing. I was reaching out to Gino at Meridian Cacao saying, hey, like, do you have anything micro lot, special, different that like we could do a limited edition bar of? He's like, well, actually, I just got these like beans from Trinidad. We only got 3 bags, which I don't know if you know the size of a cocoa bean bag, but it's anywhere from 120 to 140 pounds. So 3 bags, and he's like, they can be all yours, you know. They're really expensive. They're like $7.60 or 50 cents per pound.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I don't know bean prices, but
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And we got some samples, made a test batch, and loved the flavor. And after learning more about the family and about the difficulty they had with harvesting last year, and the fact that they were able to still get these like nice, like really nice 3 bags of cacao, we were totally sold on just the idea of buying up this whole micro lot, and essentially being, you know, the only company in the world with these beans from this, you know, from Trinidad.
Is that their whole harvest? 3 bags?
Yeah.
What?
And I think what's so cool about it is like, otherwise we've only ever worked with like a large estate or cups where there's like a centralized fermentation and drying. So this is the first time I've really worked with a small farm.
They're locals.
They're locals. It's a family generational farm, and they're really grappling with all the struggles you have with trying to work with a small harvest and the weather to ferment and dry. And so I think they just have a lot of loss because they don't, you know, have a way to.
Yeah, and it's a true
control.
It's a true like single estate origin, meaning like it's grown there, it's fermented there, and it's dried there. Because typically, like with let's say Peru or Ecuador or Belize, it's you know, they're buying wet cacao from farms, and then it's all centralized fermentation and drying, which is great for quality control and price and like paying the farmers well and all, like that's a very good model. But
it hides the individual characteristic of a farm, right?
Like maybe farms got some fermentation technique that like I don't know that they use, or you know, there's just a lot more like variability to it, which makes a small batch and like a individual harvest year really special.
Right.
But like the beans we have now this year, they do taste different from last year, and it's not like the trees are any different this year. I'm sure it was just like something along the way with fermentation and drying. But this year we got 4 bags this year.
Oh. So how many bars does that translate to?
2,500.
For
2,500. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So that's like a big limited edition. It'll probably last us until September or December maybe, but it's just so awesome to have like this thing that kind of just pops into existence and then goes off.
That's cool that you've got that relationship with Gino, that he'll hit you up and say, hey, you want some super rare one-off beans?
The timing couldn't have been better because that was around the same time that we launched our limited edition packaging, which allows us to do like these small lots, like because otherwise, you know, it's really difficult to like print, you know, an actual mainline bar. Yeah, so you got a sticker on there.
So this sticker here, you can do custom on a bar-to-bar basis.
Yep.
Yep. See, there's that overcompensation thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you're all tasting while we're discussing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some. It'll shut me up for a minute.
What kind of things should we be looking for flavor-wise?
Well.
So this is an 80%, which is pretty dark.
It's 80%. And what we loved about this off the bat, as an 80%, I think it really tastes quite sweet. So we just we tried it at different percentages, and we really settled in at 80 because we felt like, wow, you can really, there's a lot going on. But I think it's got that lovely sort of fudgy base to it.
Yeah.
And I always get, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I always get Brazil nut. You get like a very nutty Yeah.
Has a bright, like red berry kind of vibe to it as well.
So yeah, the last harvest was much fruitier, but yeah, there's a little bit of fruit in there too.
And
So
if anybody out there
subtle.
is tasting this, you can type in your tasting note
Yeah.
comments.
Let's hear it, people. What are we tasting out there?
Checking on mine.
I definitely get the. There's like a nice lower, like subtle, almost oaky flavor in there. It's like an underlying base note of just like caramel and oak. And
how does the roast go for this bar versus some of the others?
This one's pretty standard. I mean, it didn't have any defects. Like it wasn't super vinegary or anything like that. So really just gave it like a very average roast.
Which average for us is very, very light, and it's light and long in the grand scheme. But yeah.
So yeah, not a lot of special production techniques this time around.
Yeah. Letting the beans speak for themselves.
And this is a 2-ingredient chocolate, so cacao, sugar, that's it.
Really? Is that easier to do with a higher percentage?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's, I mean, that's part of the reason, like, that's just a nice, I really like the high percentages because of that. It's just, you can do more pure bars. And
yeah, we can comment that Kim loves it. And then this, we got up on the screen, Chris says raspberry, which I definitely get that kind of red berry vibe, but like that real deep earthy kind of flavor as a base, and then like this bright kind of berry flavor up on top. It reminds me a little bit of like freeze-dried strawberries as well.
Oh, that's a good one. Which we'll be having in the final bar.
Yes. I happen to love freeze-dried all the berries, so it works out.
Okay. I know, it's how good freeze-dried berries are. So.
It's good stuff. How did you, with the 3 bags, so we're talking 360 to 400-ish pounds of beans the first time. How does that process go? I mean, like, when you commit to a roast and a grind, like, you're committed.
Yeah.
So do you do really small batches at first and say, okay, here it is, and then dive in? How does that process work for these really tiny batches?
Yeah, I mean, basically do a couple test batches, and then
like 5-10 pounds. What's a test batch mean?
Like 5 pounds.
Okay.
And then when it comes time to roast, just like pay extra attention to the roast itself and taste along the way, and kind of like, we have a lot of like base levels that we know we have to hit with flavor throughout the roast, and it's just kind of it's a tasting thing that you can kind of just you taste and you're like you kind of just kind of know and you're like, okay, like that tastes like about right.
Okay.
Like, and the worst thing would be to over roast and lose a lot of those like subtle nuances.
Yeah, especially the brighter stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, like, if, for example, we under-roasted it a little bit, we could always taste it in the conch and then conch for like an extra day if we felt like we needed to mellow some flavors out that maybe that we didn't get rid of in the roast. So.
We got a comment that we're definitely getting the nutty flavor.
Oh, good.
How'd you determine on 80% with this bar?
Oh, why did we land on it?
Well, how'd you even, like, what crossed your mind? You're like, I'm doing 80%.
80's a great one. 80's amazing. It's like, it's not too dark. It's not too sweet. It's darker than 75.
Yeah.
80.
And I mean, I think we, all of our other single origins in our main line are 75. And so with the limited edition, it's just an opportunity for us to go out of the box. And the reason why we do that is so that you can taste them all at the same level and, of course, the same amount of sugar, so you can really taste the differences. So it was just a great way. And I think we love the beans and we tried different percentages. And just 80 just seemed like a sweet spot, no pun intended, for this for these beans, just because, well, I think all the flavors there, and yeah, it's fun to have beans where they lend themselves really well to the higher percent, you know.
And also, we felt like this limited edition micro lot Trinidad bar was a bit more geared towards like the true chocolate connoisseurs. And if you're thinking about the true chocolate connoisseur, they're most likely going to be happy with an 80%. Whereas the mass market, you know, Whole Foods shoppers, they might be more like 70%. And I just felt like it was like kind of the perfect, you know, combination of limited edition, 80%, just kind of felt right, you know.
Well, it's a fantastic bar. VJ out there in Instagram land / Trinidad, actually. Great job on those beans. Those are fantastic. Well, let's, oh, go ahead.
I said we're lucky.
Yeah, those are great.
So,
That's cool that it's such a small production you guys got your hands on. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and move to our next bar, the Ecuador 80%.
Yeah,
there it is. Or 85% rather. Yeah. Now, this one's Camino Verde beans, which are not uncommon, but they're not, I mean, Ecuador is a huge producer of cacao, right? But it's a fairly small minority of those beans that are actually really good. And it happens that Camino Verde is a common one for fine chocolate makers to use. But it's not the only origin. What drew you to Camino Verde beans? Let's listen to that snip again.
I think the first time we had the opportunity to try chocolate made with the beans, actually Steve DeVries, he traveled around Ecuador for a month, and he brought back beans, made chocolate with them, and we just had never tasted anything quite like it, because there was so much fruity chocolate out there at the time, and we were working with the Costa Rican and Madagascar beans, and it was so rich and fudgy with honey notes, and when we finally got to work with them, it was just incredible. And it's such a low cocoa butter bean as well that it just has that thick fudginess to it. So it was just so unique, and we loved Vicente, and just his whole philosophy. He was a microbiologist, and he does a lot with fermentation.
Okay.
Trying to get different flavors from different fermentations, and that's really, I don't know if that had been done much at all with cacao, and so we just found that fascinating. Yeah,
it's starting to be more and more prevalent, it seems like. But yeah, there's definitely some pioneers that have kind of paved the way.
Right.
So what kind of flavor notes do you get? Because you did the 75% version first, right?
Yeah.
And then you wanted to do that 85% as well. What led you to wanting to do both of those? Well, Robbie likes really dark chocolate.
Yeah, and it was really total happenstance. Like, this is back in Denver a long time ago, 2013 or something like that. And so my mom's ex-husband, which was also my stepdad, her second husband, right?
Okay.
Ex, you know. He was turning 85, and his favorite chocolate of ours was the Ecuador.
Okay.
The 75%, or the Bilao at the time. And he's like, but I just wish it was darker. So we just made this, like, he was turning 85, so we made an 85% cacao batch. Made these like custom bars, sent it to him, and he's like, "Oh, this is amazing! I love it." And then we kept eating it, and we were like, "Damn, this is really good!" Like a few bags of like tempered blocks.
Yeah.
Right.
It just eating it was oh my god! And then Simran Sethi visited the factory.
Oh, really?
So she was right as she was right before writing her book, the Red Wine Chocolate.
Yeah.
Book. And she tried the Ecuador, the Bilao 85. She was like completely smitten. She was like, "Oh my god, it's the best chocolate I've ever had." And so we gave her like this whole bag. So she was obsessed. We were obsessed. Like, well, we're all obsessed. Like, why?
I know. Why fight it?
Why fight it? Just to make an extra 35%. So that's how it happened.
Nice.
Not a lot of, zero marketing research.
Yeah.
So when you took it to the focus group of your own faces.
At the time, we just loved it.
Yeah, we loved it. And
getting a comment of almond and tobacco.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. And again, I think these beans just have a really nice, clean finish. So I think they just worked really well as a higher percentage. Yeah. But I think there has been changes with Camino Verde. Some of you might know he used to work, own a farm in the Palau area, and then they lost that land due to various different things, and so now he actually works with a lot of other small farmers, and it's kind of a cooperative setup, and he does his own centralized fermenting and drying from those wet beans. So I would say the flavor has changed a touch over the years. It's gotten a little bit earthier. I don't know if you notice.
Seems maybe a little bit less graham crackery than it used to be.
Yeah.
The old Palau had this really nice honey flavor to it. It was like deep chocolate brownie meets honey. Don't really have that anymore, unfortunately.
I mean, I really like earthy chocolate, and this has like a really deep earthiness to it that I quite like. So actually, in the Taste with Color map that Hazel Lee put together, this chocolate makes me think, for those that are familiar, in the bottom left corner is like the deep, dark color, dark flavor kind of area on the map, and I tend to kind of hang out down in there. What's that?
We have it on the wall. I can pull it off.
Right. I should have one sitting here. We've got at least two. No, we've got actually a bunch in the house because I haven't been able to deliver a lot. What's that?
So it's happening. He's getting the map.
Good. I love that.
Yeah. But I think for us, it's like, we really want to, with the farms we work with, we want it to be a long-term relationship. So, if there's so many ebbs and flows and changes, and we really want to like stand by them.
I see earthy down there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yep. You're really close to it.
Like dark
earthy. That's
gray.
Right in the middle of the
over there. That's the color you
leather.
taste.
Like, I like chocolate that has a leathery vibe to it.
Yeah,
that sounds weird. It's bad if you're talking about pot roast, but for chocolate, I like it.
Yeah. I feel like that's a common one, the leathery.
Oh yeah.
Leathery saddle. Yeah.
I love the taste of saddle in the morning.
I know. Woo.
Well, so we deliberately wanted to do this 85% immediately before doing the Madagascar Samburano 75 from Bertil Atkinson's plantation.
Yes. I know that many of you have tried, but it's always fun, I think, to try different makers' Madagascar. And it's one that was the second bar we ever put out, but we just love it. I think it will forever be one of our favorites, and we love trying it next to the Ecuador because it's like opposite ends of the flavor spectrum.
Really pops.
So, yeah.
Does Madagascar ever get old?
Oh, yeah.
No. Never.
In comparison, it comes across as kind of jammy. Very, very fruity.
That's so good.
And again, it's depending on the harvest. We've had really citrusy harvests, especially when we first started working with them.
Right.
So it does change a little every year, but it's always that bright fruitiness. But
yeah, it's got more red fruit flavor to it this time.
Very first year, it was very strawberry focused.
Get stuff.
It was crazy. It was so good. And then the beans we actually ended up being very citrus focused. And then usually it's between the citrus and red berry range. Yep.
So then, is this your longest running current bar?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
It is.
And we keep saying he. I suppose some people don't know who he is. That would be Swedish expat Bertil Atkinson, who owns, I think he has 4 separate plantations. Is that right?
Yeah, he's an international man of cacao.
Yeah, he is.
man. Can't keep track of him.
I got to talk to him a bit in San Francisco, and yeah, he's got this like, where's my next international location kind of vibe about him when you're talking to him.
He's awesome. I think before I met him, Chloe Dutro-Roussel, she introduced us through email, and before she introduced us, she's like, "You're gonna love him. He's a bit of a dandy." And I always think of that in my head. I'm like, "That's the perfect."
You might have to explain what a dandy is for us colonials.
Isn't that a candy bar?
No.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Patil. Yeah. So no, we love him.
I've only ever seen him in Seattle and San Francisco, so he's always wearing a jacket.
Oh yeah.
And it has like a very world traveler vibe.
Oh.
I
He is a world traveler.
Yes.
I presume he leaves his whip back at the hotel or the Airbnb. He strikes me as someone that ventures into the rainforest with a whip.
Right.
I mean, he's a Swedish guy who like grew up in France or whatever, so he speaks French fluently, but then lives in London, but also Madagascar, but also Mexico, but also Brazil.
Mm.
You know, you can't pin him to one place. It's just like this.
Can't pin him to one quarter of the earth.
Yeah. He's
like
all
east, west, north, south hemispheres. All right, we're getting caramel and lemon. Interesting.
Lemon.
Definitely get the lemon.
Who's getting
caramel?
We got peanut. I got a little bit of peanut in mine.
I started off getting more red fruit, and then I'm getting more of the lemon now. Working my way through a few pieces here.
So good.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
this is a bar I could drink one sitting.
Really? I gravitate, like I said, more towards the earthy ones, but I really like having something like this right after having a real dark earthy bar because it brings out all the flavors so much.
It does. You really get the contrast, and I love baking with Madagascar just because the flavors are really there. And cookies and it's great.
I've had some great brownies made with various Madagascar chocolate, which
even mousse. It's amazing.
Pudding,
yeah,
which I guess you would call mousse.
Mousse.
Yeah. American pudding is different from English pudding. There's no kidneys in our pudding.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the idea of bits showing up in pudding is it's off-putting for Americans. At any rate, berries and bubbly. So this is another one of your like small batch custom bar packages here.
Yeah.
You can just label up. This is great because it looks so different from the other one.
I know, right?
You can just do that at whatever scale you want.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I know, it's so fun. I mean, it's just been a way for us to be more experimental, just play around with different inclusions, like look out for different micro lots of beans and
pretty.
Yeah, and it's pretty.
But talk to us. What do we got here?
Yeah, so
I'll introduce it.
Yeah.
So there I was sitting at my laptop, and I was like, what would be the most romantic bar ever? And I was thinking, okay, champagne, berries, and chocolate. Talk about like the ultimate, romantic gift / romantic picnic.
Right.
This was supposed to be at the time, like our Valentine's Day bar / kind of like flow into Mother's Day kind of thing. And we'd already gotten a little bit into the wine infusion chocolate, so we did the mulled wine bar, which is super good.
Right.
We really have a ton of it right now, so go buy it up. It's so good. It's like one of my favorite bars we've ever made.
It is really
and we have a lot left. But anyway.
Beautiful flavors.
So we were infusing wine into nibs. So this one was a matter of infusing sparkling wine, essentially, into nibs, and then tracking down some freeze-dried, what do we do? Raspberries. And sprinkling them on the back. Yeah. And so it's everything in one. It's the champagne, chocolate,
and
the berries.
Yeah. It's very space efficient.
Yeah, there you go. This is such a good one because it's so fun to think of inclusions of how can we let it really complement and bring out the origin. And I think so just really playing around with the fruits of the Madagascar and then adding in that tart dried raspberry and then the sort of sweet fruitiness of the champagne. I just feel like it's just a lovely.
So I recommend eat it berry side down on the tongue.
I'm gonna need more.
So that way the berries hit your taste buds first, and they kind of spark up.
Unfortunately, I didn't do that for the pieces we pre-broke, so I'm gonna have to eat more.
You're gonna have to use some more, man.
Yeah.
All right, darn it.
I'll spend the rest of the evening getting over that, probably by eating yet more.
This is one of those where all of a sudden you've eaten a whole bar.
Like, oh,
it's a bit dangerous. It's like the fleur de sel.
Mm.
You're like, whoops.
No, meaning
that finisher.
That is a pro tip right there.
Pro tip, berry side down.
Oh, we got VJ on here. He says, awesome stuff, guys.
VJ.
Thank you.
Awesome beans, man.
Awesome beans.
Yeah, great beans.
Mm.
Great A.
I'm going to need to talk to VJ sometime, too.
Mm.
I'm really curious to hear
the
life of somebody making 4 bags of beans in a single harvest. that
no, so much work.
Oh, we got a question. How do you infuse the beans with the bubbly?
We have friends in town that have a small winery.
Mm.
So they lent us a wine barrel, and we filled it up with nibs, and then we filled it up with champagne.
Okay.
And just let
it sit for, I don't know, a month and a half.
Mm.
And then
one person finished her bar already. Like she finished her bar yesterday. She couldn't wait.
So really, water is the enemy of chocolate.
Right.
So after that, we essentially dehydrate the nibs and try to retain all that.
Is it a used wine barrel?
Well, yeah, but it's not like it doesn't have all like the lees in it from fermentation. It's just like it's a clean used wine barrel.
All right. I'm just wondering, are you getting extra flavor from like a red wine or something? I guess once you fill it up with champagne, it's definitely going to be biased towards that.
Yeah. It's not no red wine infusion in there.
Do you look like crazy party animals when you're cracking open that many bottles of champagne to fill up a barrel?
I mean, it's hard not to.
Saber?
Yeah.
Saber. Yeah.
Every single one. I don't know. It's kind of like we make our bourbon barrel aged bar, which is with the bourbon. We fill a barrel with whiskey too, and it is a nice ritual per se when we do this because it's not that often, and when we do it, it's nice just to for everyone to kind of take a sip of whiskey while we fill it up. You know,
it sounds like a rap video with that much champagne. Just do you show up in a limo that has the Cristal in there, and you just
every time
pouring it around?
It's part of the ritual. Got to do it.
Good.
Put all the energy in the chocolate. Yeah.
Good.
It's
I'm
fun.
sure that next time you do it, we can work out how to shoot it like a rap video. I think that would be hilarious.
Now we're talking. Keep our chocolate society. We're all gonna.
We've got somebody on here. David is saying that he definitely agrees that tasting it berry side down is the way to do it, and you're warming them up to fruity bars with these. So
yes.
Yeah,
it's a subtle difference in how to eat it, but really do get the berries electrifying your taste buds.
Oh yeah, no, you get a hit of tartness before you even get the chocolate. So
I think that's the interesting thing is that people do sit in different camps, I think, of what they like.
Right.
A lot of people are in the earthy camp and the fruity camp, so this might be a polarizing tasting.
Good. I mean, that's what Chocolate Society is all about. So just the fascination is letting me take it to the masses.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
June is pointing out that it sounds pretty expensive cracking open a whole bunch of bottles of bubbly.
It is.
Yeah, that's why when we launched the Berries and Bubbly bar, it was $12.
Okay.
And that's why when we launched the mulled wine bar, it was 14.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're higher priced bars because of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why the bourbon barrel aged bar is 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one sits for a good while, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
How long do you let it soak with the champagne for this one?
The champagne?
Yeah, the bubbly.
I actually don't remember. It was like 6 weeks, maybe.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is before COVID. You know.
It's a different universe, right?
You remember life before? Yeah.
I'm going to humbly request that you refer to this process as, in fact, the champagne campaign. Just throwing it out there.
I like it.
Got it.
I think the kids out there will appreciate it.
Champagne campaign.
Yeah. Well, that is some fantastic chocolate, you guys, and I greatly appreciate you joining me on here tonight.
Yeah, gosh.
I hope those of you out in YouTube land have enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this a lot, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the bell icon. And make sure to check out Ritual Chocolate. What's your website? Just ritualchocolate.com?
That's right.
We got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got the domain.
Yeah.
There it is. And then also check out chocolatefascination.com. Is our merch live?
Nice.
Our merch is very nearly live. Ritual merch is very much live and on point, so you guys can look very dashing with your Ritual shirts and hats and chocolate bars. I'm sure you could rig up some cool clothing out of your beautiful packaging.
Whoa.
Beautiful. So, any comments, whether you've been able to see it live or watching it after the fact, please hit us up down below. But thank you again, Anna and Robbie, for joining us, and we'll catch all of you guys in the future.
Yeah.
Happy
Thank you so
tasting.
much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.